Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Chi Bai. I'm the research administrator at the Data Science Institute. I've been with the Institute for about 3.5 years. It's my pleasure to be part of the SSG, meet the students and see what they do over the summer and present at the end of the summer. And it's really good to learn different projects they work on every year. I'd like to also note that this is the 10th anniversary for our DSSG program this year, and we hope that some of you will be able to join us for our celebratory events, probably in the summer. And yeah, where we will be inviting past DSSG alumni as well as partner organizations to celebrate the milestone. We hope you find this session helpful and feel free to ask any questions you have, or you can also reach out to us by email as well. Okay, so I'll now pass over to Rob. Rob, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Rob. I'm a senior data scientist at the Data Science Institute. And, just to keep it short and sweet, I'll just be acting as a mentor and technical advisor to the fellows that we accept into the program.
Great. Will?
Hi, everyone. My name's Will. I'm a data scientist at the DSI as well. I've been there for about a year and a half, and I came here by way of psychology, actually. So I got my PhD in psychology at UBC about a year ago, and I'm also a DSSG alumni. So while I was in my PhD program, I participated in the DSSG program 3 years ago now. And yeah, I've been mentoring students in the program since then, and I'm really excited to chat with you all today.
Great. Quincy.
Hello, so I'm Vinci. I'm a DSSG fellow from last year, so 2025 summer. I'm currently in my last undergrad year, also in psychology with a data science minor. And I'm also sort of doing my last co-op right now at UBC's Learning Technology Hub. And I've also been TAing for Data Science 100 and STAT 201. So in the last summer, I had a really great and fun time and sort of extremely rewarding, as I would describe it, experience as one of the DSSG fellows. So I will try my best to answer your questions for this info session.
Great. Thank you, Rob, Will, and Vinci for your introductions. I'll now go over really briefly what the SSG is for those of you who are not too familiar with the program. This is going to take 10 seconds. So the DSSG program is a paid summer full-time program over 14 weeks from mid-May to mid-August. The students will be working on real-world data sets provided by and working with nonprofit organization partners with the potential to benefit society. The DSSG program offers workshops during the first week of the program where students will learn or brush up their skills, experience on different topics that hopefully will help you throughout the project, the program, and develop data science skills. And we also offer mentorship from the DSI data scientists like Rob and Will here, and director as well. There are many different networking opportunities and fun team building activities as well. There will probably be more opportunities for the SSG fellows. Every year is slightly different, and for some year it's more exciting and it's we don't know yet, but there are different opportunities available for the fellows. All right, moving on to eligibility criteria and program requirements. I just wanted to bring your attention to eligibility criteria because some of the applications we get unfortunately do not meet the eligibility criteria, and it does take a bit of time to submit the application. So I really want everyone to know what the criteria are. So the program is open to UBC Vancouver undergrad or graduate students. If you are a graduate student, we ask that we get written consent from their thesis supervisor to participate in the program as it's a full-time summer program. Students the students will have to be enrolled full-time this term, this academic year, to be able to participate in the program in the summer. And we asked the students to have completed at least 75 credits by the start of the DSSG, which is mid-May. So if you are short of 75 credits now, but you are working towards 75 credits, that's totally fine. We just ask that students have at least 75 credits before we start DSSG. International students are welcome and eligible if they are not graduating in May and plan to return to school full-time in September. We get some applications from graduate students in the Master of Data Science program, but unfortunately, we don't consider applications from grad students in MDS, as they also have their own summer practicum program. Just one more time, international students, unfortunately, graduating in May will not be able to participate because of visa issues. So once you are in the DSSG, we ask that students be physically available in Vancouver. This is not a fully remote position, but we do allow hybrid arrangement where students are able to work up to 2 days per week from home. The days are to be decided amongst teammates, so this is flexible, and we allow flexibility around days. And also, we ask the students to be available during regular office hours. This is because we have different meetings, activities during regular hours, but sometimes some students may be partnered with organizations that are in different time zones. And for those fellows, we do ask some flexibility with meeting with the partners. So we will never be around, we will never have meetings scheduled for 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., but rather maybe towards the end of the day, say 5 p.m. as opposed to 2 p.m., or maybe early in the day, 8 a.m. as opposed to, say, 11 a.m. So those are some of the things I wanted to bring attention to the students who are interested in the DSSG. And I think that's all I wanted to cover for now, and we will take questions. Anybody with burning questions? Yes, Yash, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Yash. I only have one question, and that's could you describe to me what a week would look like within this program? I'm trying to wrap my head around what your weekly activities would be, and if they're very structured, if it's more so just you have a problem to solve and you're kind of just brainstorming throughout that week and getting work done on your own.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I will definitely start answering the question, and Rob, Will, or Vinci, please feel free to add whatever uh, you have in your mind. So it's hard. So typically, what we do is during the first week of the workshop, we have orientation on the first day, and we have workshops prepared for the students to attend throughout the week. So that first week is quite special because it's all very structured and it's all set up. But from week 2, the students will have weekly meetings with partners and also with the DSI data scientist mentors. So in a typical week, after the first week, the students would be working amongst themselves, sometimes working from home, sometimes on campus. We have designated space for the DSSG fellows to work together in a nice classroom setting, meeting space. And so that's where the students will be typically working together. So there may be some activities, some special meetings, special seminars throughout the program, but those are also planned in advance, so students know when they are. But other than that, typically, I would say any given typical meeting week would be meeting with DSI mentors, and also with the partner organizations as well.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Vinci, do you want to fill in some more gaps, maybe?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, just as what G had mentioned, a typical week really consists of first of usually start with meeting with your project partner. So for our case, we partner with Mentor Canada, a nonprofit organization, and we settle on Monday having our weekly meeting. And you would have to sort of like schedule your time with your project partner coordinator yourself and see what kind of time would work for your partner and also within your team. And then each week, in addition to the meeting with the project partner, you would also be meeting weekly with your mentor. So um, typically, you would want to be able to present your weekly progress and results to both your partner and also your mentors who seek more advice. And for with your project partner, you would want to see sort of like if that's a direction that they are content with and sort of like continue improvement on your project and sort of like the days where you don't really have the meeting, you would that's when you would actually be working with your team, communicating with one another and sort of like testing how things work or doesn't work and sort of like and even I mentioned that each week we meet with mentor. It doesn't mean that we only communicate with our mentors during that time. Very consistently, we would still be exchanging with them to sort of like seek ideas, advice, and sort of like see what kind of things that we could um, bring. And those presentations with the mentors, at least for last year, we had to do slides and sort of like try to organize our thoughts and progress in a very structured way. So I'd say that's what a typical week would look like on a daily basis.
And just because you said something that I have a question about, you brought up the idea of having to do a lot of back and forth, not only
Mhm.
with the client, but also with your mentors. That leads to me asking what's the level of autonomy that can be expected as someone within the program? And of course, you have client needs to meet, client requirements to meet, so that is impacted. But when it comes to your mentors, are they more so a guiding hand, or do they almost at times dictate which directions you should be going with this program?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good question because especially for our teams, our project partners wanted a statistic analysis of the data that they've given to us. And but beyond that, we also had a lot of creativity that we want to inject into the project. So for our team, Isabel was doing like latent class profiling, latent class analysis, and that's sort of like a step outside of like pure statistic. And then Maxine was more responsible and doing more of the natural language processing. So overall, I'd say that we had quite a lot of autonomy on what we want to take our project to towards. And also the statistic part, that's sort of like it's a baseline requirement that we want to be able to fulfill so that we would meet our stakeholders. So Mentor Canada's request of like being able to find some trend that would serve them for their funding and grant initiatives. So I'd say that as long as you meet your project partner and sort of talk with them and constantly communicate with them, sort of like, are they satisfied with the results so far and sort of what kind of improvement they want in the project? Beyond that point, there are a lot of direction that you can also take the project towards.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to echo what Vincie's saying, Rob and I are mainly there to be mentors, not managers. So we're just giving advice, brainstorming, teaching, etc. It's very, very, very rare that I would like veto something if I think it's a really bad idea. And then on the partner organization side, it kind of depends on the partner organization. So some partner organizations are a little bit smaller and they're treating you more as like a more autonomous outside consultant who's coming in. Like, of course, they have goals, but they're really looking to you to lead the project. And other partner organizations are maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit more mature, and then they'll have a little bit more of like a hands-on approach and like your week-to-week goals. But we are paying you, not the partner organization. And it's a little bit different than a typical internship where we expect you to spend a lot of time learning. So you'll be writing a lot of code and in meetings and giving presentations. But there's also a lot of time for you to just read and explore and experiment with different methods. So I would say definitely have more autonomy than like a typical internship. But again, it depends on the partner organization. And if the partner organization does get a little too demanding or over manages you, we would also try and step in and make sure to protect your autonomy.
Yeah, so let me just make one last comment about that. So I think in terms of the autonomy and the flexibility that you have, this is one of the main selling points of the DSSG program. So often we have a situation where, we have our proposal and we want to get to point A by the end of the 14 weeks. But during the course of that time, we're analyzing the data, we're discovering new trends, new patterns, whatever stuff happens. And you might decide, as the people working on the project, that actually that point A that we thought was a good idea in the past, maybe that's not the real objective anymore. So maybe we can pivot. And so you actually have ownership of the project in that, of course, you want to make sure that you're providing value to your partner organization. That's always a top priority, but you're kind of controlling where you want to take the project. So that's, I think, really unique. You're not going to get that in many other places.
Thank you all for your responses.
Yeah, thanks for your question. I also see a question in the chat from Jason. Thanks for asking, Jason. So he asks, is there any possibility of taking summer courses during the program? So it is a full-time program. We expect you to be working 35 hours a week, and I think it's 3 days in person, maybe two. I forget. G can correct me. Um, but we have had students in the past take a summer course over the summer, and they've made it work as long as they're fulfilling their duties to their team and their partner organization. So I would say that it is workable. It could probably happen, but you should still expect to be giving full-time hours to the DSSG program and prioritizing that. And I don't think you'd be able to take, more than one class over the summer.
Yeah, and just to add on to taking summer courses at the same time of doing DSSG, it's actually something that I did for term one because there happened to be a course within the psychology department, so psychology of sport, that was offered after 5, so it's after regular work hour. And I chose it mainly because it was less demanding than any other courses. And I really found that kind of like struggling between yeah, I was struggling a bit, but it wasn't too much because it's a low demanding course. But I wouldn't suggest taking sort of like really advanced courses or like more than one course, to be honest with you. It's just really difficult to juggle between different things because after 5, you want some time for yourself as well.
Okay, thank you, Will and Busy. Yes, thanks for the question and thank you for the answers. I just want to point out also, so summer courses really depend on, as Vinci mentioned, some are more intense than others. Typically, we do, if you are considering taking summer courses, we prefer that students take summer courses that take place after the regular hours, so after 5 or after 4, so that if the course is from, say, for example, like, I don't know, 1 to 4 or 11 to, I don't know, 3 hours during the day, it's a bit hard to juggle, I believe, because we do have requirements throughout the program where students will be required to present for the midterm presentation and the final presentation and different activities that go on throughout the program. So it's a bit hard for students to accommodate their summer program and also the full-time DSSG. So this is something to think about. We're not saying no, you cannot take any summer courses. Yes, we of course, as an academic institution, we also of course encourage students to learn, But yes, the timing may be a bit of an issue if there is a course that you're thinking of starting at 10 a.m. Twice a week. That would be something that can cause some problems, concerns. But otherwise, yes, it's possible. And
And
I'll
just
go on
remember,
to
oh, sorry, go.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say part of the calculus there is like you want to be like fulfilling the requirements of the program, like
Mm,
you're signing up to work full time,
yeah.
but you're also
Yeah.
signing up to work on a team with two other students that you'll be working
Hmm.
quite closely with. So you want to make sure that you're pulling your
Yeah.
weight and good team member.
Yes. It's a team project, and we expect all the team members to be available um, when everyone's available. So that's typically the expectation. So thank you, Jason. And I will move on to the next question, which is the exact start date. Okay, so we have this on our website. It's for this year, it's Monday, May 11th to Friday, August 14th. So those dates are confirmed, and we'll stick to the dates. Um, and if you have any other questions about this, let us know. And okay, so that's all good. And I see another question from Yash. Please go ahead.
Hey, yeah. I was just going over the website and I once again read that shortlisted candidates will be interviewed in Feb. What can we expect the interview to look like?
Interviews are not very technical. Um, they are about 30 to 35 minutes maximum. And we ask your experience with teamwork, team projects, any data science experience you've had in the past. So very general questions, I would say. Um, it's not to grill anybody, it's to get to know other candidates, the students. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's any special prep you would need to do if we're not going to ask any Python questions. We just ask you to be familiar with the SSG and expect, we will ask why are you interested? What brings you to apply for the program? Because we really want the students who are interested in the program and succeed. So that's typically the what we have in the interview. Yeah, I think
Yeah, there's no coding portion of the interview or Python or anything like that. The most technical questions you'll get will just be to like describe a data science project you've done and maybe describe the modeling that you did in a little bit of detail. But we're not going to ask you like explain how k-means clustering works on the fly or anything like that, or show me how to do this in pandas. There'll be nothing technical like that.
Okay, thank you. Good to know I don't have to do more leak code.
Would never allow us to use LeetCode, don't worry.
All right. Anybody else? I don't see any more questions in the chat box. We have, let's see, I would say 10 on the call. If not, I can talk a little bit more about the DSSG to give a little bit more information about the program. So as I mentioned briefly, the students are expected to make two presentations in the program. One midterm presentation halfway through the program where students present what they have worked on so up to that point and what the plan is for them to work on towards the end of the program. And that would be an opportunity for the students to receive some feedback from different data scientists in the DSI who are not as familiar with the projects as Rob and Will may be, so some fresh perspectives, and there will be uh, pro project partners in attendance as well to give feedback. So that's something that we ask the students to do, and of course, and also the final presentation where you present everything that you've worked up to that point. And usually that's really celebrating what you've done in that past 14 weeks. And yeah, and also maybe usually students give suggestions to the partners what they could do to take the project further. because 14 weeks, it's pretty short. And yes, the students do a lot, but there's, of course, a lot more that can be done after the program once the DSSG fellows are done. So just, letting them know that here are some ideas where this could take the organization to. So that is something that we do ask students, and that's also the reason why having some commitment during the day, um, whether it be taking course or work, is not really recommended to make those presentations. And those will be in person. All right. Any more questions from the audience? Okay, I see some in the chat box. Okay, examples of projects. We do have all the projects listed on our website, and we really recommend the students interested in applying for the program to take a look at the projects. And we also have recording from the final presentations of those projects. So that's a good way to kind of know a bit more about the program. Every year we have different organizations and thus different projects. So this year probably, and I can tell you it will not be the same organization. So it'll be slightly different, but not very different from the past years. Let's see. I can ask Vinci to briefly talk about her project. I think she already did briefly. Or Will, if you want to talk a little bit about your project.
Sure,
Yeah,
Vincent, you want to go first?
yeah, absolutely. So our project centers on our project partners grant proposal initiative. So essentially, Mentor Canada is this nonprofit organization that tries to upscale quality mentorship across Canada in sort of that would be able to help with youth development across the country. And they brought us a data set that they've collected from 2020, so sort of like pre-COVID, and wanted us to be able to see if there's any trends that are able to help with their grant initiative. Because in order for the organization to get grants from perhaps donation or through government funding, they need to have some sort of evidence that would be able to back up the fact that, hey, mentorship does work, it does improve youth development in the future. And so what we did is that we received this data set from our project partner, and sort of like the first few weeks you're going to be able to ask a lot of questions about the data set. Not probably not everything. It's going to be tabular data that you would be dealing with, depending on what your project partner provides you with. But in our case, it was a structured data that we were dealing with. So initially, the cleaning data was taking a lot of time, and then we sort of took a lot of time to communicate with our partner to see what kind of exact question they want to solve and what they want us to highlight. And so we were trying to see what kind of key variables we want to focus on, because the data set itself was pretty large. I remember we had around 500 variables to deal with. So we thought about a lot of ways and brainstorming what kind of ideas, in addition to basic statistical analysis, which our project partner had suggested they've already attempted. So we were thinking about maybe we should do dimension reduction, or maybe we should do some auto encoding along with the dimensionality reduction methods. And also we thought about, hey, maybe the project partner is able to provide us with some text data from their perhaps previous report from their literature databases, so that we can do some natural language processing. And or we were also interested in the impact of mentorship in future adulthood outcomes, such as, does early mentorship affects later adult health outcome, mental health outcome, income outcome, or education outcome, are we able to use latent class analysis to sort of see subgroups within this huge data and see the actual impact of, hey, mentorship experience in early years actually leads to this latent class of high performing adulthood experiences, low performing or medium performing. And so that's sort of like a brief summary of our project. Just like so there's definitely a lot of chances of exploring different methods, things that you've never learned before within just a classroom setting, and be able to actually research a lot about things and get a lot of great advice from a mentor. For example, on NLP, we saw a lot of advice from Will and Rob, and those are something that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do just by simply reading all the natural language processing stuffs online because it's really dense and yeah, it's just really great advice. And also beyond just our immediate mentor, the DSI have a lot of other senior data scientists from whom you can seek a lot of advice. So yeah, so that was an expansion of our project.
Thanks, Vinci. Yeah, Vinci's project was, like she said, they use natural language processing and some unsupervised learning, but also a lot of statistics. My project was with the Investigative Journalism Foundation of Canada. So they're a newsroom like the Globe and Mail, except they're a little bit unique in that they not only publish regular news articles like you've seen, but they also collect very large public interest data sets that they host on their website, and they actually mine those data sets for stories. So, for example, one of their data sets is Canadian lobbying data. So, legally in Canada, if companies are going to lobby a public official of some kind, they have to log that meeting in a government portal. But the government portal is terribly maintained and it's really hard to search through. It just has a very bad user experience. And that's true a lot of these very large, like public interest data sets. So the IJF scrapes that data from government websites. It's all publicly accessible. And then they store it on their own website with a much better UI that makes it easier for journalists, but also just regular everyday Canadians and also academic researchers to use. And then in my project in particular, my team was working on four of the data sets that they had at the time. A lot of it was applying methods from natural language processing to try and clean and label data. I also spent a lot of time merging data sets. So a lot of these data sets are technically distinct, like they're maintained by different government offices, whatever, but they have a lot of overlapping, what we would call entities in the data. So the same corporation will appear in multiple data sets, or the same politician will appear in multiple data sets, or the same government agency will appear in multiple data sets. So I did a lot of work merging all of those data sets to make it so that they weren't siloed off and that you could basically just explore the data in a more holistic way. And then, we did some analytics on that data set, created a bunch of interactive data visualizations for that data set. Yeah, that was mostly the project. It was mostly like natural language processing, kind of data engineering, data visualization project. But in general, I would say that the DSSG projects skew towards machine learning. So lots of like classification is very common. Using natural language processing is very common. Using large language models is very common more recently. But every once in a while, there's a more like statistically focused project. So trying to answer concrete research questions instead of building a product. So that's like what Vinci's team worked on. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to, or if you're interested, to just go on our website and search through the different years because all of the projects are posted. I think that we have a short description of each, like a paragraph, and then also the final presentation that the students gave. So definitely check those out. Just skim the titles, I guess, until you see something interesting. But yeah, they're mostly machine learning projects with nonprofits and like local government agencies or UBC offices.
Okay, thank you, Vinci and Will, for your, I guess, introduction to your projects. Okay, I'll move on to the next question. We have one in the chat box, but since Lilith was waiting, I will ask first who's here, and then I'll go back to the chat box.
Yes, Lilith, hi. My question was, you told us that we will work in teams of three, but how these teams are formed and how they're matched to the partners? Is it during the program or just predetermined?
A great question. Thank you so much. So what we do is once we have selected the fellows for the summer, what we do once we have the projects finalized, the partners finalized, we share the proposal from the project with the DSSG fellows. We ask for the fellows' preference as to which project stands out the most, and we try our best to accommodate the preferences that we get from the fellows, and try to assign teams. But we also look at different backgrounds and different skill sets that each of the DSSG fellows bring to the team. So, for example, we wouldn't be, we would probably not have a team of all the computer science students and then another team with no computer science students. So we try to balance it out and also look at the dynamics, and if there's a grad student selected in the part of the cohort, then we also look at their background and their skills as well. So we ask the fellows for their preference, and we have that keep it in mind, but also looking at different skills for each of the fellows. And then we will let the students know these are the teams that we have assigned to, and and then we'll let the fellows know which team they have been assigned to before the start of the SSG program. So that's how it will be done this year as well.
Okay, perfect. One more question. I know from the website that we need to add one more recommendation to the application. I believe it's not a letter, just a contact for the recommending person. I was wondering if the previous workspace's mentor will work or it needs to be a manager or supervisor. Because usually the mentors and supervisors know better about your technical skills and managers are just managing. So I was wondering if that will work.
Yes, whoever you think is the best fit to provide feedback for us to make the decision. Whoever you worked closely with, who you reported to, that is what we would consider. Um, Typically, we prefer not to have references from your peers, but somebody who you would report to, supervisor, manager, even if they weren't really working closely with. And we probably won't be asking, technical questions as well during the reference check. So we would mostly like the general questions.
Oh, so I guess in this case, the mentor can technically be considered as peer, so manager will be better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Daniel, you've been waiting for a bit, so thank you for your patience.
No worries. Thank you for your presentation. One of my questions was actually similar to Lilith's, but I had another one. I was wondering about how much back and forth there are between like the partners and the fellows after they're matched with the project. Like I know autonomy was mentioned, and I know that we can receive mentorship from the data science or like mentors in the data science faculty. Like but I guess I was wondering if there's like check-ins or like weekly meetings with the project issuer as well.
Yes, so you'll meet with the partner organization at least once a week for like about an hour, but I think on average people are meeting with the partner organization like maybe 2, 3+ hours. Again, it really depends on the partner organization. Some people will kind of treat you as an outside consultant, so they'll set up like 1 or 2 meetings a week to check in with you about that project. Other partner organizations will kind of treat you like an intern and they'll have you join the organization Slack and maybe join other team meetings that they have. So it really just kind of depends on the partner organization, but you'll definitely be meeting with them regularly. We tell them that they have to meet with you at least an hour a week, and that generally we expect them to be responsive to you having any questions. So typically the partner organization will like assign a person to kind of manage you guys and manage the project that you're working on, and they'll be kind of your point person to talk to. And then, so that's during the program, and then there's definitely no guarantee of like a sort of job offer from the partner organization, but that has happened before, especially if a project is really successful or more core to their operations, or maybe you built a minimum viable product and they want to actually put it into production. So it's not rare. It's also not super common, but sometimes students are hired by the partner organization after the program as like a part-time worker, sometimes full-time or like a contract.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, in terms of how much back and forth, just as we've mentioned, it's a weekly meeting at least for typically via Zoom and an hour-ish, not necessarily on Zoom. And usually you would want to ask as many questions as you want and also update them in terms of your progress because sometimes there are things about the things that your the project partner wants that it's unclear and you want clarification from them. And even beyond the weekly meeting, for our case, for our team, we definitely had exchanges beyond just the meeting. So email exchanges, that was also another way of communication. So as to get things confirmed and see if we're actually on the right track, or just update them with things that we want them to be updated on. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your
Okay,
question,
thank
Daniel.
Yeah, thank you all for the question and the answers. I'll go back to the question that was in the chat box. Expand some of the things that will be required for the application beyond what might be usually expected. I'm not too sure if I understand this question, but as long as the application is submitted, and the instructions are followed, documents that we ask are attached, that is a good start. There's nothing else beyond the application that we would ask at this point. But please do read the questions carefully, and follow the instructions. I can I can share that some of the applications don't have all the information that we ask, and it's really unfortunate if the students don't have all the information in their application. We might not be able to go back to the applicant and ask for the missing information due to the high volume of applications we get. So please make sure that you have the document that we ask for and answer all the questions in the form. I hope that answers your question, Jeff. Otherwise, feel free to ask further, or you can email me as well.
In particular, make sure to check your credit hours. We often have students say that they have 75 credit hours when they don't. So make sure to check your transcript answering that question, because we will
Yes.
double check. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that, and as well as making sure you have your unofficial transcript as well as resume attached to the application. Sometimes people forget the whole thing, or people just attach only the transcript or only the resume, in which case it's not considered complete. Otherwise, I think all the questions are okay. It's just those few that we have missing info.
Do we
Most
ask for a
from
cover letter, G,
I'm sorry?
or do we ask for a cover letter typically? I don't remember. Or do they
We
just
don't ask,
have the
no, we don't
question?
ask for a cover letter. Yeah, just the questions that we ask in the form about different group team project or data science, but not a separate cover letter. Just the resume and the transcript is all we
So no
ask.
need for a cover letter unless I guess you think there's some special thing that you want to point out.
I've never seen anybody actually, maybe in recent years.
Yeah, but I
Um,
remember when I was filling in the application, the form itself was pretty much like what you would put in a typical cover letter. So maybe the form itself is already enough as a cover.
yeah,
Yeah,
because we ask, why are you applying? Sure, we have one more question for Vinci or Will. What was their favorite part of the program?
that's a tough question. So, like I said, I participated in the program while I was doing my PhD in psychology, and I started that degree directly after undergrad. So there were a lot of firsts for me in the program. I did quantitative research and used statistics, but this was my first time working on a pure data science project and also working in an organization. I'd only ever been a student or a researcher. So that was just really exciting for me to actually be doing something that was being used by a team instead of just like completing assignments or publishing papers. So that was probably the most exciting, fun part for me was just seeing my work actually used and actually impacting people's lives. Um, I would also say that it was just beyond the learning, which I like because I'm a big nerd. It was just a lot of fun working with the other students. So we have like a big conference style room for the DSSG students. We expect you to be in office 3 days a week, and you're all similar ages, roughly similar interests. So it ends up just being a lot of fun. Sitting around, chatting, learning from each other. Yeah, I think that was probably the best part. I made a lot of friends with the DSSG program that I still talk to.
Yeah, for me, I think it's really hard to just pick one favorite part of the program. But one thing that I have, like, just looking back at the program and now realize that I really, really like is sort of like this sort of same as Will. It's being able to be a team and sort of like almost 3 days in person and being together and chat about things, brainstorm things. And then last summer we sort of like go to Blue Chips a lot and we sort of like just chatted a lot about things that we want to do and not just within the program itself and sort of like career aspiration because we do share a lot of similar interests. And so that was definitely my favorite part. And also we got to do a lot of activities, special activities during the program. And so that was also my favorite part.
Yeah, and I'll say like it's a serious program, like it's full time. We want you to work and get something done, but we're not breathing down your neck. We're not like in the conference room with you. So there's like a fair amount of just like chatting and banter and showing each other memes during the workday for sure. That made it a good time. I hope I didn't cut you off, Vincy, but from my end, it looks like Vincey's frozen.
I
I think
think
I'm back. Oop.
no, I think we're good,
Vincy?
right? Yeah, at some point I think Vinci froze, but I think it's all good. And I mean, I'm not one of the DSSG alumni, but from what I hear, it's really good to spend 14 weeks full time with fellow students who you otherwise would not have met, because we have students coming from different backgrounds, different majors, different minors, and different, I guess, well, undergrad graduates. So those are the students that you might never meet on campus during your uh, academic years on campus. So a great opportunity to meet with students who you would otherwise would not even uh, meet or encounter. And then you get to spend the whole summer together and get to know each other and get to know DSI data scientists. And for DSSG alumni, we welcome alumni to, reach out to us for any career questions or guidance even after the DSSG. So, and Will and Rob and others are very happy to provide any guidance from their experience. So that's something I think it's kind of not just within the summer, but beyond the program. You get to know all the people, also the director as well, who's very supportive of career uh, advice and all that. So it's a really great opportunity to get to know people who can be helpful and supportive in career goals and aspirations. All right, I see one more on the okay, just saying thank you. Okay, one more question from Jeff. Reference letters are not required. We just ask for their contact info so that we can reach out to them when we need to. But please make sure the contact information on the application form is up to date and correct. Any incorrect information may cause delay in conducting reference checks, which may delay hiring decisions, which we really do not want to come across. So please have all the information, but no, reference letters are not required at this point or in the future. We just will reach out to them directly. And we will only reach out to them once we have interviews. So we won't be reaching out to them for those who are not shortlisted, just the ones that we interview and who are successful after the interview. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the time. I don't see any more question in the chat box or from the any hands. Any last minute questions? Again, you're welcome to reach out to us by email after the session if you have questions. But if you have not, or if you have already submitted your application, please make sure all the information is there. I see some strong applications, but without the full information, so it's unfortunate. So please make sure you read the instructions and provide all the info that we ask. Otherwise, I think we can wrap up right now. And I would like to thank everybody for attending this session. And I really hope that this was helpful for those of you who are interested in the program and are thinking of applying for the program. And I'd like to thank Rob, Will, and Vinci for their insights and their sharing their experiences and guidance as well. So as I mentioned earlier, I will have this recording available on our website next week. I hope to do it sooner than later, but I can't guarantee when I will be able to do it, but it'll be soon. Otherwise, we wish you all the best and we look forward to well, okay. So just before I wrap up, does anybody have any comment?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks everyone for your questions.
Maybe I can add one
Mhm.
last kind of thing.
Mhm.
One kind of aspect of this program that we haven't highlighted yet is the communication aspect. So one of the things you'll learn over the course of the summer is, you as a technical expert, how do you communicate with non-experts like the partner organization who might not be experts in data science? How do you communicate these complicated concepts and break them down into like simple presentations that you'll give and be able to answer questions and stuff like that? And so this is a really useful soft skill for you to learn going forward in your careers. So yeah, lots of fun stuff you can learn in this program. I think it's going to be really useful for anyone who's accepted in their future career as a data scientist, if that's what they want to do.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rob. That's a great point to make. Yes, we've had quite a number of the SSG fellows who came across partners who weren't really able to understand the technical side of things, but the program hopefully helped them to explain technical side of things to non-technical folks, which is very essential in the real world. So that's one big part of the program that we hope that the students will be able to learn. All right. Well, thank you again for everybody again for attending this session. And for those of you who are applying or have applied, we will review the applications early February, and we'll reach out to shortlist candidates by mid-February. And we expect those interviews to take place during the reading break. We're not sure yet, but that's the typical timeline that we go by. And we'll definitely be reaching out in a few weeks. about a month now. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great sunny Friday afternoon, and a good weekend.
Yeah, enjoy your weekends.